what's the Easter we celebrate? Well, like, what's the pagan Easter? Like, why is there bunnies and eggs and chocolate?
I was very confused about this myself.
What's up, guys? This is episode 45. It is Easter Sunday today, and originally we were going to talk about Judaism, but we decided
we don't have any Jews.
We're not. Yeah, we need Jews.
It's not like we're supposed to have a reserve of them downstairs or something.
Yeah, unfortunately, we're out of stock today.
Ran out of Figured this is the way Kyle worded it. If there was a podcast hosted by atheists where they were just talking about Christianity and they got it like completely wrong, we'd be pretty annoyed, right?
Yeah.
And so we figured it was only appropriate to talk about Judaism if we had like an actual Jewish person on the podcast as a guest.
Yeah, we're not.
So if you're Jewish, slide in the DM.
We're not 100% fluent in belief of Judaism, so we didn't feel as if we had authority to speak on it. I've been gone for about, 4 weeks now?
Yeah. What's happened in your life?
It's been a while, okay? And so I went...
You know, this is actually a little bit ironic. You've risen from the dead just like Jesus did today.
Yeah, except
you're back.
I was a little delayed. I took 4 weeks.
Yeah,
Jesus was a little faster with that. So first 2 weeks I was gone, I was on spring break, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. And then the third week that I was gone, I was at prom. At least the first one. You wouldn't know her. She goes to a different school. So anyway, but...
In Canada?
No. So focusing on spring break specifically, I went to the Bahamas. I was very blessed to go all around the Bahamas. I went to 3 different places, but the last one was Nassau, the one that everyone goes to. And I was just taking photos with Jocelyn. And all of a sudden, this 5 or 6 year old girl with a man behind her. And the guy looked to be about 30 to 35. And he had a pastor suit on. You know what I'm talking about. Yeah. Like a pastor suit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about.
It's like one of those collar things.
Yeah, with the collar. Yeah.
Like a clerical outfit?
Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly. And so the little girl walks up to us and asks us if we can take a photo with her for her YouTube channel. And of course I say yes, because
You said this girl was like 7?
She was like 6 or 7.
And has a YouTube channel?
I guess so.
Hey, they do that.
They never
told
told
me. Young,
me.
I guess. I don't know.
They never told me what the YouTube channel was called or about. And so she takes a photo with me, right? And hands me this piece of paper. In which it's no longer in my possession. It's in Nana's possession because I gave it to her.
Nana confiscated.
Yeah, Nana confiscated my paper. But I took a picture of it. And I'll send this to Luke, see if he wants to put it in here. But it basically is talking about, Revelation and, it's not against Catholicism, but it is against the Pope, mostly. And I'll show you how. Hold on. Let me go to the other photo real quick.
Joe Biden's on the paper.
Yeah, what the heck is going on here?
It's talking about the 7 seals, right?
It's talking about the mark of the beast.
Yeah, it's talking about the mark of the beast, the 7 seals.
Yeah, it's talking about the 7 bowls.
I don't know. But anyway, so it talks about how this guy basically believes that the Pope is a blasphemous man. And so it says
Did we
Revelation.
talk about this on our Catholicism episode?
Did we
talk about it now?
Sorry?
We'll talk about it now.
Yeah, we can just talk about it now.
Okay.
And so it says, it says Revelation 13:6, and he opened his mouth in blasphemy against God to blaspheme his name and his tabernacle and them that dwell in heaven. And then Revelation 17:3-5, and I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet-colored beast, full of names of blasphemy, and the woman was arrayed in a purple and scarlet color, and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, having cups in her hand full of abominations. And then so it shows a couple of photos of the Pope doing his thing. And then it says, what does blasphemy mean? It's a man that makes himself to be God. And it says John 10:33. Let's just pull some of these up while we go, just so that way we can,
prove it.
Well, we can at least cite it, know what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
So he cites John 10:23.
Which, just let me get this straight. This little girl walks up to you and is like, "Can I take a photo with you for my YouTube channel?"
Yeah.
And then after the photo, she hands you this paper.
Well, she handed it before, but we didn't get a good look at it. And then but the second that she handed it to us, she goes, "Can we take a photo with you?" So we just kind of took it, and then
Interesting.
Okay.
and then she ran away afterwards.
All right.
But anyway, so John 10:33, the Jews answered him, for a good work we do not stone you, but for blasphemy, and because you, being a man, make yourself out to be God. So that's that verse. And then it says, blasphemy also is one that sitteth in the temple of God, shewing himself that he is God. And then it shows a picture of the Pope on a throne, which is 2 Thessalonians.
Yeah, with the archbishops.
Yeah, with the archbishops and whatnot. 2 Thessalonians 2:3-4, and Isaiah 37:16. I'll just go to Isaiah, just because that one's less. If I can find Isaiah 37:16. O Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, who is enthroned above the cherubim, you are the God, you alone, of all the kingdoms of the earth. You have made heaven and earth.
The cherubim are the angels that are
yeah.
usually depicted as babies, but in reality, they have 4 faces, one of an ox, one of
a lion, eagle, and a man.
Yep. Man.
And they have 8 wings or something like that.
No, that's the seraphim.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
I think the cherubim.
Yeah, I remember,
angels.
yeah.
I think
The
cherubim have 6 wings.
Yeah, because the seraphim are covered in wings.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then it says that he's also a man who claims to be able to forgive sins.
And it cites Mark 2:7.
Yeah, which I'm flipping to now. I passed it. Mark 2:7. Why does this man speak that way? He is blaspheming. Who can forgive sins but God alone?
Huh.
So it's basically taking a stab at the Pope.
The Catholic Church.
Yeah.
Church.
Well, that too.
The Catholic Church.
Here's wisdom. Let him that hath understand count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 603 which is 666. I don't know why they have to make that so complicated.
Just say the devil's number is 666.
But it says at the bottom of this, please read with your Bible prayerfully. And so I'll send this to Luke. Nana might also have a better photo of it, just because I took this photo just on a bed. But yeah, it also talks about like Emperor Constantine, which was he's the one that made Sunday the day of rest for Christians and whatnot, and he says that he's a pagan sun worshiper and all this stuff.
Yeah, he was a pagan man who combined a lot of pagan traditions with Christian holidays.
Wasn't he the guy that, like, he had the war going on?
Yeah, and he got showed up to, and they painted all the crosses on their shields and their helmets and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, and then he says, Protestants do not realize that by observing Sunday, they accept the authority of the spokesperson of the church, the Pope.
So what's the point of all this? Why are you bringing this up?
I just thought it was something interesting. And it's like talking about the end times and like the seals, for instance, like Joe Biden's seal. It has the name, title, and the territory. So like the seal of God is Lord God, creator of heaven and earth. And then it says, like, for instance, Joe Biden would be Joe Biden, President of the United States of America.
Philip Davis, Prime Minister of the Bahamas.
Yeah, which is where I got this. So, yeah, you can see the seal of God can be found in one distinctive place, which is in the 10 Commandments, the 4th commandment to be exact, which is observant of God's 7th day Sabbath.
Interesting.
So, yeah, he has a lot of opinions, obviously. And I just kind of wanted to bring that up because I thought it was interesting.
I think we should definitely do a podcast on Catholicism because there's so much there.
I think we should bring a Catholic on for that as well.
I think it's only appropriate.
Jeb on again.
Oh, right. Also, when you say he, are you referring to like the cleric person that was with the girl?
Yeah, when I'm talking about the person that gave it to me, I doubt the little girl wrote that all out.
Well,
I'm sure she's smart. Like we have, what's that one girl down there that knows like all
Isabel?
the books? Yeah, Isabel.
Dude, she's so smart.
She's extremely intelligent. She knows like all
We
the
should
books
have
of
her.
Bible
We should have her
in
on the
order-
podcast. That'd be awesome.
in order and all that. And she's
we would have
very-
to. Legally speaking, we would need consent from her.
I know her dad.
parents. Okay.
I know her dad. We're good. But yeah, I thought that was interesting. I mean, kids can be really smart, but I really don't think that kids are putting that much work into a paper like that.
Especially on that subject.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
It's mostly like why I should deserve candy.
So
Yeah,
I want
couldn't
to.
have cared less.
If you guys have any
if I was
questions
that age.
about the pamphlet or whatever, just ask me or ask the podcast, obviously, and we'll try to answer any questions we can about it.
People just talking to their phone.
Gonna have to do some more research.
Hey, fire starter, show me pamphlet.
We're an entity. The 7 or 6 of us are one entity.
We're
called
just
the
an
fire
oracle.
starters. Yeah.
So yeah, that's what happened in the Bahamas,
Nice.
which was
Fun.
interesting.
Anyone else have any anecdotal?
I went on a mission trip a few days ago, which is pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the biggest part of the mission trip for me was I was riding in the car on the way to Denver to go to the airport, and there's this lady in the car, and we got to talking, and it kind of ended up she believed that multiple or all religions could lead you to the one and true God, I guess. And she didn't really understand the Trinity.
Did you tell her my belief is that you'll go to hell?
Oh my god!
Because if she says all religious beliefs are correct, and you say my belief is that you'll go to hell, is that correct?
And then we just had like a 2-hour long conversation just about a lot of stuff, which was pretty cool. So that was fun. And then we went to Mexico. A lot of cool stuff happened there. We built a house, which is fun. You can see the
Yeah.
video on that.
I actually
post on
wa-
Firestarters.
yeah.
Oh.
so.
I watched it on YouTube.
I didn't see that. Hold on.
I noticed. I
Don't
watched it on
watch
YouTube,
now.
I'm not gonna watch. Shh.
and I noticed that the house, the walls didn't go all the way up to the roof. They like stopped on a flat thing, and then the roof was just built on top of that. That kind of annoyed me as a Minecrafter, but
As a real engineer.
But no, it was crazy there. Like I was picking up trash because there's so much trash everywhere. And I see this kid come out of his house and just dump the trash on the ground. And like there's no one there to pick up trash, there's no running water. And they're living in like these plywood houses with tarps, and it was kind of funny because I walked in there and there's like flies and a bunch of rotten food everywhere, and then there's just like 2 musty mattresses with like stuff on it. And the kids are like playing on the mattresses, but there's like a nice flat screen TV in there. And it was like this destroyed shack.
priorities, man.
That was cool, just to see how they live and how they're still happy, and that we got to help out. So
Yeesh, that's
Yeah.
crazy.
It kind of inspired me to like. It really makes me want to like help the unfortunate in Ukraine, like, especially in the bordering countries of Ukraine, and just to help what's the word, refugees, you know, because we can only pray so much for Ukraine at the moment and the people of Ukraine, but they were living in a dictatorship before the war. Just saying. But yeah.
I have a pretty cool God story.
Oh, cool gob.
I have a pretty sweet
my
God.
God's pretty alright. I got to experience what's the word?
I don't know.
Divine healing.
Intervention.
Divine healing. I'll just go with that.
Spiritual healing.
Yeah. I
Faith
guess
healing.
miraculous. I don't know.
Let Jonah talk.
I don't know.
Stop trying to interrupt me. That gets him to stop talking. So basically, I was on my bed in pain because I was in an accident and my back was screwed up. I woke up. It's 3:28 a.m. I was in a lot of pain. This is like day 4. And I woke up. I hobbled over to the kitchen because I wanted some painkillers. So I hobbled over to the kitchen. I got some painkillers, and I hobbled back to my bed in excruciating pain because everything hurt to move. Like propping myself up was just like a horrible experience. And then I just laid down on my bed, and I was like in pain and stuff. And I couldn't go to sleep, and I was like, what helps me go to sleep and stuff? So sometimes when I can't sleep, I'll just put on some worship music, and I'll fall asleep to that because for some reason it's like calming and stuff. So I put it on, and the first song that comes on is "Gratitude" by Brandon Lake. I don't know if you guys know that one.
I think so.
It's I would say my favorite worship song. So I was just like listening to that, and it talks about like giving gratitude to God and stuff. You can't really give much more. And I was just like thanking him that he was that he like I wasn't paralyzed or anything, and that I was still able to walk, and that I'd make a full recovery even though I was in like pain and stuff. And so then I felt like this sensation on my back. It was really cool. It was like tingling, like goosebumps. And then the pain in my back went away. So that was pretty cool.
I didn't know it was in the painkillers.
Huh? Because they don't work that fast. It was
So it was like right after you took them.
Devil's advocate. Do you
That's
still
cool,
have
though.
pain in your back?
It comes and goes, but it's definitely not as bad as it was.
That's awesome. Yeah, you're walking better than me now, so.
Yeah.
Spring skiing got him a little.
Is anyone gonna ask me if I have a story?
No.
Aiden, do you
Aiden, last time I asked you that, you went on a rant about a college.
Well, Wolfgang,
for,
I think, overdid
10
that
flat
rant
minutes.
time-wise with the whole paper thing.
Hey, that was essential.
It was interesting, and I liked it.
I
so
know.
Aiden, go ahead.
I don't have a story.
Lost me. Oh, okay.
Well, today's Easter,
Wait,
so
you asked us to ask you if
So
you
I
had a story.
So you could say
So
no.
you could say, no, I don't have a story?
Yeah.
Get out of here.
all right. So
Wait,
today
no,
is
no.
Easter, which is awesome because Jesus is resurrected from the dead, and if that didn't happen, we would not be here. So, or we might be. We just wouldn't be saved.
What's the
We'd probably
proof
go
it
to hell.
happened, Luke? What's the proof it happened?
I would
Proof?
be,
You want proof?
Yeah.
I would be
Explain to me.
scared.
All right. Well, I'll explain this story, and then we'll talk about Easter. So, or like the pagan Easter. So we'll talk about the real Easter first. Not Easter, but like what happened on.
We're debunking this. So
Debunking
facts first.
Easter.
So pretty much, Pastor Matthew talked about Easter or Jesus rising from the dead, and in kind of a new way that I haven't like heard of as much. Like he had a lot of cool facts I haven't heard of or didn't think about. So Jesus dies, right? Terrible, awful. Mary Magdalene's weeping. Everyone's sad. Well, not everyone, but like the disciples are sad. And so Mary Magdalene decides to go to the tomb where he's buried. And now, for context, the tomb was a really rich man's tomb. Do you guys remember the name?
Joseph of... No, not... I don't know. Joseph something.
Yeah, some really rich guy that was like, yeah, Jesus can take my tomb. So this tomb had a stone in front of it that weighed around 3,000 to 4,000 pounds. And it took around 10 people to push it into place. And there was a big groove where they pushed it into place, so it would take even more people to push it back out. So it was a
Probably
massive
like
stone.
12 men. 12 grown men.
Yeah, or 15. And the Pharisees and the Romans were scared that the body would be stolen because there was a lot of rumors that this man Jesus would be resurrected from the dead, essentially. And they're like, if someone steals the body and says that he's resurrected, that's going to cause huge problems for us because, well, people would believe that Jesus was actually the Son of God
Then
and the
we're in
Messiah.
some big doo-doo.
And then everything we say is essentially worthless or false.
Yeah,
so
then he would have just proved our whole code wrong.
So they set a guard of Romans there, which is around 10 to 15 guards.
No, they set them in shifts. So there were 4-hour shifts, I think. 4 hours for 4 soldiers, and then every 4 hours they would rotate, because if the body got stolen or anything happened during those 4 hours, the 4 soldiers who were
No, all
there,
of them, I think.
or yeah, all 12 of them, however many there were all executed.
Yeah. And then they put a seal on the stone, like a Roman seal. So like if someone opened it, they'd be punishable by death. So the likelihood of someone stealing the body was very low, obviously. So back to Mary Magdalene. She's going to the tomb to kind of, I guess, grieve Jesus. And she gets there and the tomb's empty.
Although if it wasn't supposed to be opened, I don't see why she was going anyway.
Well, just to be close, I think. Like, if you lose someone, you kind of, like, go to the graveyard,
didn't
right?
she go to, like, anoint his body in, like, oils and stuff?
Oh, right.
That was before, wasn't it?
No.
Yeah, I know what he's talking about, but it's whatever. Carry on.
No, because then she was like, "Oh, he's gone," and then she's like, she sees what she thinks as the gardener, and she's like, "Where did you put Jesus? Where'd you put him? I won't tell anyone that you moved him. I just want to." I think that's where it's like, I just want to like anoint him with oil and stuff.
Oh yeah.
I think that's where that comes in.
She went to go anoint his body, even though there was.
Well, I don't know if that was her first intention, but then like after she's like, "Oh, I can actually touch the body. I'll do that for him or something." I don't know.
Maybe.
Anyways, and then the gardener turns out to be Jesus, which is pretty awesome. And she's like, "I am here," and she's like, "Oh wow!" And then she goes and runs off and tells the disciples, and then
I thought there
Yeah.
there was an angel.
no, it was Jesus.
Well, hey,
Right?
No, there was an angel when
Oh.
John and Peter went, I think.
Hey, here's the thing. Remember that one episode of Drake and Josh?
No, I
where-
never watched Drake and Josh.
Well, yeah, me
never
neither.
did
But
either.
you've probably seen like the memes where it's like, Drake, where's the door hole? You're supposed to cut it with the power saw. Go get the power saw. And he tries to walk through the door, and then he can't because he didn't cut the door hole. I picture that with the story of Easter. It's like two Roman soldiers. It's like, Drake, where's the body of Christ? You were supposed to anoint him with oils. And it's like, okay, go get the oils. And then you can't because Jesus isn't there.
Well, all I know is when Mary was there, it was Jesus there. I'm not sure if there's angels or anything after, but
No, there was. There was an angel sitting on top of the stone. I think. It was when John and Peter were there. I'm like certain of it.
yeah. So they race to the tomb and they see it's empty, and then they go back and tell everyone else. And then over a course of 40 days, Jesus appears to, I think, 500 witnesses that like actually documented it, and so it happened almost at the same time as well. So like the likelihood of someone showing up to 500 people and them all claiming it in different places and different times.
Yeah. Within the span of 40 days.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. So that's Easter, as Jesus being resurrected from the dead, which ultimately is Jesus conquering death for all of us, which is awesome. So now Easter, what's the Easter we celebrate? Well, like, what's the pagan Easter? Like, why is there bunnies and eggs and
So yeah, you
chocolate?
I was I was very confused about this myself.
Yeah.
So,
So
where's the
You explained the Christian Easter, right?
Yeah.
And which is great because this is what we call Easter, but there's a reason we call it that, and it comes from pagan traditions. And so there was...
Wait, question. Do a lot of people call it Resurrection Sunday, or is that just another name, or do
I
people
do.
just always call it Easter?
I think... I don't know. You could ask Nana because she...
Non-noob Christians call it regular Sunday.
The noobs call it
Non-Easter
Easter.
Christians.
All right, go ahead, Aiden.
Yeah,
So,
so-
what's the name Easter from?
Yeah, so...
We're out of time.
It comes from the Babylonian goddess of war, sex, and fertility, Ishtar. I actually am blanking right now.
Well, it was from a pagan god.
Babylon.
And I think that came
Babylon.
down to the Mesopotamian, like one of the rivers there, in an egg from the moon.
Euphrates.
Euphrates.
Yeah,
Something
and she was like
about-
in an egg, and then like it blew up,
Something
and
about a
she
moon
came
egg
out.
or something.
I
It's
know that-
really confusing.
One thing I do know is that Constantine, as emperor of Rome at the time, he was like, this is like 300 years after the resurrection. He was like combining, so he was like a pagan sun worshiper, right? But he was also the one who legalized Christianity, and speculated that he's the one who combines a lot of pagan and Christian ideas, like Christmas, you know, and the traditions of Christmas being pagan, but the idea of it being Christian, you know. So it's similar with Easter, and he proclaimed
I don't
that.
think Santa Claus or a Christmas tree existed in the time of Constantine.
Yeah, that's. I mean,
No,
that's why
they
I
had
say
pine trees. Remember?
That's why I say it's
Yeah, in
like
Germany in like 1802.
No, they had it at like when they were doing the I forget what the.
Wasn't
it
that
was-
in Ireland?
Yeah, it wasn't Rome.
Okay, well,
That's exactly what I'm saying.
anyways, I mean that's why I say it's speculated because I actually don't know for sure, but it was his idea that like Easter eggs became a thing, and so he proclaimed that like the egg represented, so the yolk represented Jesus and the shell represented the tomb, and like I don't know.
They painted it red for the blood. Was that his idea or was that later?
I think so.
Could have been anyone's idea.
But somehow eggs came into play, and then chocolate eggs came into play.
And then a bunny got thrown in there or something. And that's the whole story of pagan Easter. Moving on to Q&A.
Yeah.
You got anything, Wolfgang?
Well, the bunny was symbolized as like, bunnies are obviously
fertile.
The fertile symbol, so that's why the bunny came in to play as the whole pagan Ishtar thing. But
because Ishtar was the god of sex
I feel
and
like
war.
Mice or flies used as
Flies,
fertility.
Those aren't very appealing.
They multiply insanely well.
I don't know. I honestly could not tell you why they chose a rabbit, but
don't they have like 4 babies or something?
I think Ishtar's son, in the theoretical sense, really liked rabbits for some reason.
I think they just screw a lot. I don't know. Anyway, so not the point. Then the Germans with their chocolate made the chocolate and candy part like really popular, putting in the Easter eggs and stuff. It's basically one large game of telephone that spans over a couple thousand years.
And now it's $1 billion industry. So.
Yeah, and now people are just profiting off of it.
Yeah, seriously,
welcome to capitalism in America.
Well, not just America, billions of dollars a year going
Yeah.
to celebrating like Easter candy in general.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's kind of turned into a cash grab scheme. So should you celebrate Easter is the question that we have brought up today.
Short answer, yes.
But also, no. There's aspects.
Explain yourselves.
There's aspects that you should and aspects
Just
that you
yes.
shouldn't.
I will argue for that case.
I personally don't believe that we should be going around and picking up eggs off the ground, celebrating some bunny that came the night before, theoretically. I think we should use it as an opportunity to say we, on this day, celebrate the resurrection of Jesus Christ, who died for our sins and washed us clean. Mm-hmm. So I think, yes, we should celebrate the day, but not the modern day traditions of the day.
Okay,
And I have the same opinion about Christmas.
I think what's cool about Christmas and Easter is that it's the 2 days in the year where people that aren't close to Christ can
come to church,
hear the name Jesus, and feel something, And so
when
the
they
thing
choose to.
Yeah. But
they're exposed to it.
Yeah,
you can always
they're exposed
do
to
it.
And when they're exposed to it, it makes them easier to convert and add them to our cult. Okay, this is a side note, but people will claim that we're a cult, and the one response that I give is that if we were a cult, we would have a person leading us, like, in the church that we go to. Like, there would be a leader,
Jesus. Like the pastor?
No, like besides, like, because cults usually have a leader and then something they worship, So we would have a leader and we worship.
Pastor?
Yeah, but we don't use the pastor for the sake of this podcast, is what I'm saying. Like,
the leader is a teacher. The pastor is a teacher, not a leader.
Yeah.
He's looked at to as a leader in a certain way, but he's not commanding us what to do, essentially.
A boss sits, like, has worked his way up to the position of boss, and now he tells people what to do. A leader is still working his way up to the boss position, and not only, like, he works alongside the people he leads, is the point,
I'm very confused.
Okay.
I think a better way to do it, explain it, is a boss sits on his chair and has his people pull the chair, but a leader is in front and he pulls the chair with his people.
Yes.
Who's sitting in the chair?
God.
We're not pushing God.
Shout out Instagram.
No,
for
but
that
we're carrying
that
God.
I saw like 16 years ago.
We're running towards God.
Yeah.
We're not pushing our leader towards God. He's helping us get there too.
Yeah.
Nice.
Cool.
So glad we rectified that example.
Yeah. Okay. Anyways, as I was saying, Christmas and Easter are good days for people to be exposed to Jesus, and it makes it easier for us to explain.
I mean, the Easter is perfect because it's like Christmas and Easter are perfect because Christmas is when Jesus is born, right? So you can explain that and how's our Savior and we came into the world, and then Easter is the perfect way of saying, like, he was he died for our sins, and now he's resurrected, and he defeated death. And so we can talk about that. So,
and a lot of Christians, lukewarm Christians specifically, come to church on Christmas and Easter.
There's a word for that?
Yeah, we call them Keister Christians.
Just Keisters.
Yeah, Keisters, whatever you want to call them. And so the reason why this is important is that these people, although they might believe that God is their Savior and that Jesus died for them, whatever, they don't put their heart and soul into it. And so that's why a lot of the times, like, the priests will try, or the pastors will try a lot harder on, like, Christmas and Easter to try to inspire these people to get back on fire for God. Because most of the people in our church, especially this morning, I see people this morning who I've only ever seen in school. I've never even seen them here before. And so when you see that, you got to understand these people, they have potential. And these are probably the easiest people to get on fire for God over, like, atheists and people who are hostile towards Christianity. These are people who say, yeah, okay, this could work, but I don't know how to, or I don't know what to do. I don't know, like, what I should do about it. And so that's where you can come into play with it. And so that's why I think that, Easter and Christmas are great opportunities to spread the word of God and spread, like, the news about Christ. But I don't think that we should kind of conform into paganism in the way that it is kind of making us lose our own Christian values.
Well, I think it makes us, like, looking for eggs is not going to, this is my opinion, it doesn't make us, like, lose our Christian values. And at this point, it's just, like, we're not doing it because we want to honor the God of whatever her name is, Ishtar, whatever.
Yeah.
We're doing it because it's a fun thing for our kids to do and celebrate. So, like, in that sense, it's like, I don't think it's sinful in that way if you're doing it just out of fun.
It's not sinful,
it's
but
like opening presents on Christmas. It's the same thing. We all still do it.
Now, Halloween, if you sell it that, you're going straight to the depths of hell, dude.
Well, it's just like
Tartarus.
When
the worst of it.
When God looks down, is he saying, wow, I'm glad they're doing that? Or I don't really feel comfortable with that. And that's kind of how I think
God
about
feels comfortable with everything.
You think God is comfortable with the whole concept of the Easter
bunny? The only thing he's not comfortable with is sin, and because he can't be around it, right? And so
I don't. Not comfortable is the right word. I think he's just like, he can't tolerate it.
Yeah, but you know what I mean, right?
Yeah.
And so I kind of agree. Like, I don't think he's gonna be disappointed if we go egg hunting, but personally, I don't go egg hunting.
Well, egg hunting's one thing, but saying, like, the Easter bunny or Santa Claus
like, lying to your kids like that,
different.
Like, I wouldn't do that. Like, I'm not going to tell my kid that the Easter bunny's real.
But I'm also not going to tell my kids that Jesus dropped the presents underneath the tree, because then it lessens the seriousness.
It was me, you ungrateful pieces of crap. I bought this for you. Don't think Santa and his elves.
Well, I'm saying, like, some Christians I've heard have tried to say, like, oh yeah, just say, like, Jesus dropped it down there, and that kind of trains the kid to go, wow, you've been lying to me about this all these years. How can I even trust you about?
No, think about it like this, kids.
That's true.
There is a big fat man dressed in red and white because of a Coke ad in the 1930s that goes around 9 times the speed of light on one night a year to deliver presents to, like, almost everybody in the world.
Makes sense.
And so, like, and then there's also a bunny that lays eggs that you have to go looking for, and then you eat the contents of the eggs.
That are plastic.
I typically eat the contents of most eggs that I find.
So you just stumble upon, like, a turtle or a bird nest, and you just crack those bad boys into your gaping maw. I feel hungry right now.
No, but you could tell your kids, like, I guess if whoever made it up, like, the eggshell is the tomb. It was cracked, and Jesus came out, and that's good stuff.
You could give them a good analogy.
Now you eat Jesus
of the Keister holidays. You could give them a good analogy, right?
Sure.
But do you want your kid being that one kid that's, like, in preschool and he's
ruining
like,
it for everybody?
Easter bunny isn't real. Santa's fake.
I wouldn't mind that. I'm usually that kid.
I could care less.
Keep
spreading the truth, buddy.
My kindergartner jumps up on the table, is like,
Jesus died for your sins, and you are all need to repent.
Yeah, that's exactly what I want in a child.
I mean, if I were to give an analogy for Christmas, although it isn't Christmas right now, if I were to give an analogy to my kid or kids, it would be that, like, the tree is Jesus prophesizing how he's going to die, you know?
Well, that's false, too. So.
What?
Like...
Because the presents show up underneath the tree, and that's
just the tree in general.
I'm confused.
How does that make sense?
I tried to make it make sense
because
for
he
you.
died on a cross, which was made from a tree.
Uh-huh.
On it.
All right, moving
What?
on. Q&A time. We're lingering way too long.
The
on this
table that
subject.
we're sitting at right now is Jesus,
There's gonna be
because
so much editing. to do,
because
dude.
this table is made of wood, and the cross that he was on was also made of wood.
But the reason I thought about a tree was because Jonah on one episode said that like sin entered and left the world through a tree. You know,
it was prophesied he died on a tree. Yes,
Yeah.
that's right. But like, I think the Christmas tree was for that reason.
Santa Claus is like, "Oops, sorry, Jesus."
All right, moving on to Q&A.
Aiden said he had an analogy, and I was like, power down.
It was so funny. He just goes, "Uh-oh."
All right, first question. Johnny, remember the first question?
Bridget Fleming.
What's funny
Not
about that
that
name?
phlegm.
I apologize, Bridget. We're not.
Sorry, Bridget. I
We're,
don't
we're
know.
laughing from previous cut events that were cut out
When
of
I
this
try and tell
episode.
my friends about God, they always make it weird and say bad things about God. What should I do?
Okay, so my first thing is, how do they make it weird? She says they make it weird and say
Probably bring
bad
up
things about it.
homophobia. and-
So, okay, people are going to have a lot of misconceptions about Christianity. And while you're trying not to fold on your faith, you're not trying to like give any leeway past the truth or bend the truth in any way.
Mhm.
You want to do your research and say, no, this is really what it's like. Because people, when they encounter Christianity, are like, oh, they have all these misconceptions about it. And so if you get rid of those misconceptions through the truth, as long as you're not lying to them, because I've seen people, like Christians, try for the sake of having someone accepting Christ lying about Christianity.
Or watering it down.
Yeah, or watering
to
down
the
the
point
gospel.
where it's
you
not
know?
true anymore. Yeah.
And so I think that's a problem. But yeah, as long as you do your extensive research and you can hold your own, if they don't want to, listen to God and listen to the truth, then that's their personal choice. And that's why God is so great, is because he gave us free will to make that decision on our own.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Jenna?
that's what I would have to
What do
say.
you got?
I don't know. I think I would kind of, I don't know, maybe, I wouldn't say disagree, but maybe have like a bit of an opposing view with Wolfgang. It's just like, if you want to like convert someone to Christianity, you obviously don't like tell them everything like face value, just hit them in the face.
Well, what I was saying specifically was like, if they have a misconception.
Well,
and
yeah,
they
no, I
address it-
agree. You don't water it down to the point where it's not true anymore, but you probably want to give them like, I don't know.
Well, you obviously don't like talk about
first.
Revelation first or something
Yeah.
like that.
You want to wildlife them.
Exactly. You
Wildlife.
want to take the young life approach, and
Yeah.
first you just like give them something, and then they kind of get hooked, and then if they fall away along their journey, they fall away along their journey. But it's growing in the faith that's probably like the most important thing.
Mhm.
And one thing that I thought about when we were talking about Easter is that like when people hear the name Jesus, everybody has a reaction, but some are positive and some are negative, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's you kind of want to gauge their reaction. And so if you have friends that are reacting negatively to the word God when you're not using it in vain, and or the name Jesus, for example, I don't know what I would do, honestly, because like the people that I'm close with are all Christian, right? And we're all working on our faith personally to become like actual disciples of Jesus, right? Do you guys all agree?
Mm-hmm.
And so and I do have friends at school, but that's the thing. When I surround myself with people that aren't close to God, I become less close to God.
That is actually
Bad
insanely
company.
corresponding to a question that we have.
Wait, I
from,
want to do my thing
What,
first.
bad company ruins good morals?
no, the question was just like, hey,
Well,
how do you stay
which
Christian
verse
like
is
at
that?
school and not follow friends who aren't Christians?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's something that I'm working on right now, because
It doesn't even have to be school. It's just like anywhere else where
Yeah.
you just want to fit in, I guess.
Well, yeah, I mean, you say that because you're homeschooled, but I think I think school is the prime example for me, because it's where I spend a lot of my time during right now. And so, I mean, it's something that I'm working on right now, because only so many of my friends go to the same school as me, and I have more acquaintances that aren't Christian at school than I have close friends that, you know.
So your advice is pretty much just surround yourself with the Christian community to keep you strong, so you can go into those places with a strong mind, and a strong heart.
And I mean, like Jesus calls us to hang out with sinners. He hung out with Mary, who was a prostitute, you know, the tax collectors and all these people.
It's not the only people that you should hang out with, though.
Yeah. Well, no, that's my point. Is first be grounded in who you are and what you believe and who your morals are before you go out in the world and hang out with these people that have opposing views to you. Because if you're not careful, they will pull you away.
Mm-hmm.
And before you even know it, you'll find yourself, you know, going down a path that is really hard to recover from.
Yeah, become grounded. That's
have a foundation. So my answer for like the Bridget Fleming question, on like when people ask you about Jesus, I think the best way to talk about Jesus is not you engaging into it first necessarily. Like, hey, do you know about Jesus? Like that's a way to start it. But like I think the most effective way is when your actions just show what Jesus would do.
Yeah, a good
that often results in people asking you about Jesus, and that's kind of the place you want to be in. It's like a chess game in a sense, like that. But like I saw that on the mission trip. Like we just served people and like gave like fully everything we had, and that's really I think the main thing they saw in us, not us handing them a Bible and telling them about Jesus, but like our actual actions and stuff we did to show them what Jesus would do is the real powerful message behind that. And then kind of going off of that is like, what was I going to say?
Do you mind if I speak for a second? Yeah. So I think that's why it's important to be grounded in your faith. And it's kind of a difficult process, at least from my experience. I'm still working through it because I want to read my Bible daily, you know, because that way I can look at the world through a biblical lens and always see an opportunity to share the good news in a way that is not intrusive, you know, like you're saying. And so that's what, like, I think we have to be so strong in our faith that that our acts prove that we have a character that's like Jesus. Yeah. Right.
I think, and then also like ask them about what they believe. I think, like not just tell them what you believe, like hound them with what you believe, but ask them what they believe and then go off of that. Because that's how like my conversation went in the car with that lady. I was like, so what church do you go to? She said she like used to go to the, what's the church called with the bird on top? That has like the gay flags on it sometimes.
The
chapel.
The Aspen
That's
chapel.
a chapel. And that like instantly I kind of knew where she was at because of that. And she's like, well, now I've started to come to Crossroads. I'm like, okay, so she's starting to realize something. So just like asking them what they believe.
She's getting smarter.
And then just going off that to share what you believe, I think is a better conversation than you just talking to someone.
And another piece of advice is just don't pretend to be perfect. If you're a Christian and, you know, you like your way of acting grounded is being perfect, and whenever you see someone sinning, you call them out for it and you kind of like bash on them for that. Don't do that. Just be real. We all sin. And
do that, but in a private area. You can talk to people about like, hey, you shouldn't be doing that, but don't embarrass them in front of a bunch of people.
Yeah, don't publicly just
Wolfgang just cursed.
What? Yeah, you know.
Guys.
So
he did that.
Yeah, I just don't fake it, you know. You just gotta keep it real, dude.
And admit when you mess up.
Yeah, stop playing the...
Yeah, dude.
What do you mean it's not worth it? We can re-record it again.
That's true.
We're only 10 minutes left.
I guess so.
Lexi Tacinelli?
Guys, can you please change your last names?
As our name's Tornar.
Things to pronounce. Tornar.
Okay, this is a deep question. What is your take on boundaries, whether in relationships or for yourself? Do you guys have any set and or any you will set for future relations? Self-set boundaries are important for Christians to help themselves live a less sinful life and are yet so rarely talked about. I'm not sure if you have touched on this before, but I would appreciate it. Thank you. Wolfgang, you're the only one.
I have amazing advice on this, although I'm never in a relationship. Coach doesn't play the game, you know what I mean?
I forgot all the times I've gone to Jonah about my relationship advice.
I'm joking.
Was that the only thing you had?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, personal experience, I've created more boundaries after personal experiences, you know?
What are those boundaries? Any you'd like to share?
No.
No.
Stuff that I wouldn't even do after I'm married is, yeah. Those are my boundaries.
Okay.
That's deep.
He's boring. No, okay.
He's boring. Now let me dive into my sexual life here real quick. So one time
Kindergartners, are you listening? Oh God, that's not good.
Don't say
Wolfgang.
Popcorn Wolfgang.
Sorry, I got into an argument with somebody over the stupid K through 3 bill.
Oh, yeah, in Florida.
We talked about that last week.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Cool.
Someone didn't listen to the episode.
No, I didn't.
Mm.
I've been very busy.
Shut-up!
Looks like you
What are you doing? Cooking brisket?
Was doing nothing.
You weren't even smoking brisket.
I have to smoke a brisket today, actually. Not
All right.
kidding.
What are your boundaries for your relationship? Do you have any?
So boundaries are kind of a hard one. I don't know how to explain it exactly, but I feel like boundaries aren't something that are just set and then everybody listens to
Yeah, it's
them.
like 10 Commandments kind of thing.
No one just implements a boundary and then listens to it every single time. It's something that takes discipline over a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And even after a long time, it might not be fully done. So I understand the concept of boundaries, but I think discipline is kind of more effective way of making yourself not sin. Because just saying, I don't do that, I'm not going to do that, many times you will.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just kind of how I feel about it. So I feel like slow and gradual, like set into a mindset that will get you away from sin is a lot better than just trying to go cold turkey. If that makes sense.
And I think I'm kind of blanking on what I was going to... Yeah, I think boundaries are going to be different for every relationship, for sure. Especially, it comes down to the people. Everyone's going to have their triggers that'll, make them unstoppable, unconsolable, or you can't limit yourself anymore. So I don't know, figure those out, and if that like works for your relationship or not.
Yeah, and
Are you
While
crying?
No.
while we're,
I'm
while we're
laughing
here,
at the cringe.
while
of
we're
my
here
own
with the
statements.
with the computers pulled up, like, what does the Bible say about boundaries? Like, can you look it up?
Okay.
I think the biggest one people always think about is like premarital sex is what usually pops into people's head.
Mhm.
And
Like,
the Bible
we
does
can do
talk about
everything
that.
except have sex.
Yeah. So
Soaking.
I think that's also a problem too.
Mormon soaking or like actual soaking?
Mormon soaking.
Don't look that up, guys. Spare yourselves, please.
Spare yourself the innocence. Like, remain innocent.
There's a lot of things on the internet
Well,
that you can spare yourselves from.
The Bible does talk a lot about relationships in the sense of like don't be unequally yoked.
Mm-hmm.
And so like as long as you're both on the same page, it's better than like one person constantly trying to make the other person fall.
I think that's a great point. I think the best place to have boundaries is even before you're in a relationship. And what I mean is like this quote
Date for marriage.
never go grocery shopping when you're hungry. You buy the wrong things. Never go into a relationship when you feel lonely. You might grab the wrong thing. When you're desperate, you grab anything you can, not what you need. So like if you're not okay with just living by yourself and God and that relationship you have with God and you need someone else to fill that void, it's going to cause a bad relationship if you're going to require someone to like live off them essentially to be happy.
And neither people in a relationship should be completely dependent on the other person.
Yeah.
You should be able to live.
And the beautiful thing is when you're
without
both
them.
dependent on God and then come together into a union, that's like when you're extra powerful, I guess.
Yeah.
You can rule the world.
And so
Then you have the power of God and anime on your side.
when it
Jonas
comes
is
to
cringing.
relationships like forming, I think definitely like internal assessment is one of the things that you have to dig deep and go, well, is this going to help me or is this going to cause me to fail? And a lot of different things that I do. For instance, when I met Jocelyn, and then I didn't really speak to her for a few months, probably about 3 or 4 months, and then I was friends with her for about 3 or 4 months, and then I was talking to her for about 3 or 4 months, and then I finally started dating her.
Yeah.
So it took me almost a year to actually get into a relationship with Jocelyn since the moment that I met her.
I think a lot of good relationships start out that way, just like really getting to know the person, even know if you want to like potentially spend the rest of your life with.
Ask yourself, what are your intentions of this relationship? What's the outcome? Like, what are all the possible outcomes? Do I see myself marrying this person?
And throwing yourself. Go ahead.
And if not, if you don't see you marry yourself person, like, why are
them.
you doing it?
Yeah, the intention behind it.
What's the intention? Is it just to like explore and learn who you really are in the bedroom? I don't know.
I don't know what you're into.
And then I think once you're in, like, I can't speak from experience necessarily, but I think a lot of relationships, and just like even like the brotherhood kind of relationship, is like, if it's not in love, it's all in vain in that sense. So like, I like to look at the fruits of the spirit a lot of time for like a lot of things in guidance, but like peace, joy, self-control, patience, like just doing all those things in any relationship is going to make that relationship, I think, flourish. And like, it's really the definition of love, right? Because when we think of love, we're like, love to make ourselves happy. When I think when you really love someone, a lot of times it can result in you being, it's not like great for you what you're doing because you're doing it in sacrifice in some sense.
It's
that's
either
like true love in a sense.
Yeah,
sacrifice.
I mean,
it's either a blessing or a lesson when it comes down to it.
Yeah. While we're on this,
Deep.
I don't mean to bash my mom. But you said that.
Oh my God, yo! I don't mean to absolutely throw shade at my mom, and, like
I don't.
dehumanize her in the way she won't recover. But
I do not mean to cast a shadow on my mom or throw her under the bus. But one time she said, like, teenagers should be in relationships to experiment with themselves and like to learn who they are in a relationship or something like that.
The word experiment. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, and like, I don't know what I said in the moment, but what I would say now is that like,
nah,
just nah. Like, there's a kind of love that God only knows, right?
Mm-hmm.
God only knows what you've been through. So there's a kind of love that God only knows, right? And when we can channel that love in a relationship, you don't get the same kind of love from experimenting with people, right? Like,
experiment with God.
So
you most experience end badly. That's what experience are for.
It's either a blessing or a lesson.
You
learn.
How do I put it? You should know what you want before you go into a relationship. You shouldn't have to figure that out along the way. And so the word experiment when it comes to relationships is always one that made me uncomfortable. Because it means, what are you experimenting with? I know you're not experimenting like, maybe they're different.
What happens if I pour carbon dioxide?
I know what's happening is not like, oh, well, if I date an Aquarius, what will happen? That's what I imagine when someone says experimenting, and then other things, of course, that we can't say on our family-friendly Christian podcast here. But yeah, I don't think experimentation is something that necessarily needs to be brought into play, because you should know what you want, and you should know if that person that you're going to date is what you want.
I think just trying to duplicate the relationship you have with God with that person.
Amen.
Can't really go wrong on that.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in to your favorite dating coaches in the entire world, the most experienced and the most well-versed. Next week, we will answer all your other questions about relationships. Just kidding.
All right, so we got a quick community insight to end this off with. Hey, guys. Or John, I think you should read this, actually.
Hey, guys. My name is Julie. Change your last name, please. I've been watching your videos for a while now, and I love what you're doing. By the way, side note, I just wanted to do... Okay, never mind. Side notes are side notes. I just wanted to reach out because in your recent video, when Jonah started talking about parallels between Moses and Jesus, I couldn't believe it. Since just 2 days ago, God had spoken to me about the similarities between Moses and Jesus. This is so wholesome. It was cool to hear the similarities you guys had about them, since that was new for me. The parallel God spoke to me about is how the bronze snake Moses made to heal people if they believed in it is the parallels to the crucifixion, and how when we believe that Jesus died on the cross, we are also healed. Numbers 21, 4-9, and John 3:14-21. It's crazy when God spoke this message to me, and
Even crazier.
Oh, yeah. What is this?
It's Grammarly.
Even why is it just sitting in the middle of your screen?
I don't know.
Move it.
And even crazier, to now hear you guys start talking about it, I think is a great addition to the list Jonah has already started.
You guys should write a book together. The similarities between marriages.
Me and Julie are gonna write a book. J and J.
Nice. Well, guys, with that community insight wrapped up, we still got some more community insights we should probably talk about at some point. But thank you guys. Keep asking some questions. Like and subscribe. Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. Any last words from you guys?
God only knows what you've been through. God only knows what to say about you. God only knows what you've been through.
Remember,
when
you want
that God only knows.
when you want to kill somebody, just forgive them.